social media, the press, the fashion industry, everyone has created this ideal of what a woman should look like, and if you don't look like that, you're not good enough or you're not healthy. So, from like 3, 4, 5 years old, we are brainwashed into thinking that's the only way to be, and then we just sort of strive for that, because if your body isn't seen anywhere, on a runway, on things like this, you're going to think there's something wrong with it, and that's where the issue is that you can walk down the street and there's no billboards that have like a dark skinned girl on it or a fat girl, and that's across the board.
We're right now in this point where the medical industry or the medical profession are very keen to try and cure people of being larger, and there's some quite like brutal surgery and putting people into massively restricted diets, which just long term won't work. It feels like we're in that point now, and we need to get past that in order to get to a point where we're more tolerant and understanding and different. But I think right now there is this incredible bias in healthcare, and a lot of it's driven by the fact that healthcare professionals will work with people for like a year, perhaps, or 18 months, and I have this confirmation bias because they'll see their diet that they're doing. These people will lose weight, and then they'll stop working with them, and they won't see the regain, they won't see the bad things that happen after people return to the same weight, because 95% of people, probably even more, return to the same sort of weight. And the medical profession aren't seeing that, and they're thinking they're doing this amazing job, because actually that's doing an enormous amount of harm to people, because basically they're having this intervention and then they're failing. They've been told all you need to do to be a good person, to be the sort of a good member of society, is to lose loads of weight, and then they're failing at that, and that psychologically I think is doing quite a lot of damage.
In terms of eating disorders specifically, I know that like Laura and myself have obviously been affected by eating disorders, and possibly some people in the audience may have been. Do you think that eating disorders, to what extent is it a kind of, I guess, result of that manifestation of a bias against fat people or bigger bodies?
Yeah, that's it's an interesting question, and I guess if you sort of split the eating disorders down, we know that a risk factor for an eating disorder is growing up in an environment where there is sort of criticism towards shape or weight, or there is undue evaluation of shape or weight. So in some ways, parents or schools or the environment hold shape and weight in a higher esteem than it should have, or put more emphasis on it than it should have in terms of people's well-being and their health. So we know that growing up in that environment is one of the risk factors for an eating disorder. We also know that when you begin to go on a disordered eating journey, that actually it's the weight bias, the attention to tracking your weight, to monitoring your weight, to obsessing about your weight, that maintains that disorder for a number of people. That's not the case for everybody, but it plays a significant role for most people with an eating disorder.
I think Instagram has absolutely... Well, I wasn't around 30 years ago, so I don't know, but from my own experience, Instagram absolutely kind of drove me into this rabbit hole of, for me, it was wellness, an obsession with wellness. So waking up first thing and scrolling through my phone and seeing all these toned bodies that were up at 5:45 a.m. to go on a run immediately gave me the kind of drive to go and get well too. And when you're continually comparing yourself with people that have these toned fitspiration bodies, it's very easy to get quite obsessed. And also, if you then get the added serotonin boost of people liking your photos when you're in a bikini way more than you did before, it's addictive. It's a very easy way to feel connected and loved. So I fell right for it.
Do you think you can have a happy Instagram account? Do you think that it's worth kind of like foregoing Instagram?
Have you seen that? Yeah, I think there's some days where like I just feel shit, and I go on Instagram and think, oh, you're such a dickhead. When I see like a girl, it's like, oh, my salad's so amazing. I'm like, it really isn't. And that can annoy me, but I think for the most part, I've diversified my feed. I follow people that inspire me, make me want to be a better person. That has nothing to do with what I look like. So yeah, I do think that, but you just have to actively do it, because Instagram will just shove anything in you that's going to make you buy a product or click a photo.
I think if you ask people on the street, they know what healthy eating is. They know you should eat 5 fruits and vegetables, you shouldn't eat too much at McDonald's, you know, they know the messages, but they struggle, to put it into place. They struggle because of the way that, you know, our environment is set up. It's set up to promote people to eat in an unhealthy way, and that's not the individual's fault, that's the way that society, you know, is.
Women and young people should be empowered to eat intuitively. Like, stop telling people to count calories and cut out fat and carbohydrates. How about we all listen to our bodies? But society and fucking wellness bloggers on Instagram will tell you, oh, but if you have a green juice every day, you'll be the hottest and healthiest you. And it's fucking bullshit. And also, I love McDonald's, so just saying.
It's a bit like saying everybody has size 5, you know, women have size 5 feet and men have size 10 feet. It's kind of an arbitrary tick box thing. As dietitians, we're taught to interpret that very carefully. So we don't just use BMI, we look at a whole range of measures. We actually look at the person and think, do they look healthy? You know, what's their lifestyle like? But I guess if you've got a sort of a lower grade NHS worker who's told people should be in this box, this is your job, that's where the difficulty comes in.
Can't you just ignore it?
Anthony.
You can. I would say my challenge in these things is, what are we actually worried about? Are we worried about people's health, or are we worried about their size? Because basically, diets aren't effective in making people lose weight. So knowing that, surely we should be focusing on doing things which can improve people's health, because, you know, there's plenty you can do for someone who's overweight which is going to improve their health. If they're worried about sort of cardiovascular disease, there's changes you can make. They can be exercising, they can be doing, you know, stopping smoking and doing all. So it's actually focusing on thinking about what we're actually worried about. Because if we're worried about people's weight, then that's just prejudice. But if we're worried about people's health, then why aren't we doing things that are actually going to improve their health rather than diets which just don't work? I think BMI is really easy to measure, and so scientists like it, because they can do experiments and get really good quality data. But some things like stress or some things like other measures are harder to get really good data, and so they sort of shy away from that, and they get attracted to this BMI as being this one thing that's a predictor of health. In some ways it is a predictor of health, but it's a pretty crude one, and you know, you can't tell how healthy someone is by certainly by the number, and not even by looking at it.
Love that. I think being kinder to myself. When I first started treatment, my therapist used to say to me, just be kinder to yourself and replace every negative thought that you have with a kind thought. And for a good, I would say 6 months, that's all I did, that's all I could do. And eventually, the kind thoughts suddenly just are there, and that's quite nice. Secondly, is to give yourself permission to eat. I used to have this thing where I can't have oil, I couldn't have crisps, I couldn't have more than 2 slices of bread a day. Just really weird Slimming World rules. And then Rachel sat there. She said to me, give yourself permission to eat, you can have anything. So then for a while I was eating like a child, because I was going back to my childhood self, because my ED came from childhood trauma. So I went back to eating like beans on toast every day, chicken nuggets, chips, I was eating everything. And I was doing that for a while because I was connecting with my child and she needed to be taken care of. And then now I've gone sort of like polar opposites, where I'll have that as well, but also I do crave like a salad with like pasta and like the more adult type foods. And it's quite a nice place to be, but I think that I had to really empower myself and get angry. And also learn about food. We never teach people about food, it's just about calories and the fat content and stuff. And I truly believe that everyone had to count calories. Like that was literally, I was like, of course, like everyone that's slim has to count calories. And then my therapist was like, no. And I really did not understand that. And now I go into like Tesco and see something that I fancy and just eat it. And having freedom around food is amazing. And yeah, I'm bigger now, but my mental health is like the best it's ever been. And people are so concerned with being thin is in and being big is bad, but they don't take into consideration your mental health. Like I'm so mentally well around food, And I'm not sacrificing like my health for my size. Like I'm healthy. My skin is glowing. I'm just saying.
I do think that food is an incredibly powerful thing when it comes to our health. I think it has amazing power to make us well, but it's not actually anything to do with the food you're actually eating. It's how you use food in your life. Is what food means, because food's power really is in sort of bringing people together and sharing and creating communities and forming bonds between people, and that's what food is incredibly powerful at doing. And if you're excluding things like you were, that creates this isolation, which is actually far more harmful than any sort of macronutrient or any excess of fat. You know, if you're the isolation has such a devastating effect on people's mental health. And if you use food to bring people together and to form bonds between people, it has enormous power and can actually make you well.
So, you know, just say, look, I've noticed you seem to hold a lot of kind of rigid rules, or you seem to go at this harder and faster than other people. And I'm wondering if you're okay. And I hope that you are, and if you're not, then come and speak to me. And just, keep reiterating that message, and at some point when they're ready, they'll probably come and find you. But it's more about saying what you see in a neutral way, just in a sort of curious, caring, compassionate way, saying, I don't think that's okay. I don't think it's okay to eat like that, or I don't think it's okay to have all those rules. It doesn't make you happy.
When I was at my most obsessed with eating well, I lost my periods, and it's called hypothalamic amenorrhea, and I don't know if you've come across that, but when I went to the doctor about it, the kind of old name for that was the female athlete triad. So a load of athletes get it and they see it as the norm, but having a period is the norm. So I don't, and it's quite specific, but if you do have anyone that doesn't have their periods, I found this Facebook group that absolutely was my saving grace, and it's called No Period Now What? And there's a load of women in there that are like the dream. Like I would go on there on my laptop every night just reading what they were saying and their experiences, and a lot of them are athletes, so that's why I mentioned it to you, and some of them have written more, so that's your starting point. And if someone comes up to you, just go, oh, there's this amazing Facebook group, it's called No Period Now What, and there's a book as well that the person who set it up wrote.
Called Nicola Rinaldi.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to do that.
So that's a good place to start.
Putting kids on diets should be illegal, because that happened to me. I got called fat when I was 12 and I wasn't even fat, and then I stopped eating, and then only now, 10 years later, am I recovering from all that trauma. And I just think we should teach kids and adults to be respectful of other people, because also people can be fat because of other health reasons. They could be on steroids, they could have cancer. There's always other factors, but people don't care. It's all about these faux health concerns.
If you're fat, you could be a lot healthier than someone that's actually quite
like me. Thank you very much.
And it's such a sensitive topic that if it's not done in the right way, you're going to get a child that feels ashamed of their body, a family, that feel that sort of focuses on the child as the problem rather than the family. And actually, the research around this tells us that actually the problem with children eating too much is that it's poor parenting skills. It's parents not being able to say, actually, no, you've had 3 bags of Haribo, that's probably enough now.